Welcome to the Coop Tank. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, coming to you from Sweet Recording in beautiful Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And it's funny because every Friday when I record, it's raining. But today it's nice out. And it's always nice in the studio. And to tell you more about this great place is my man, Joe Gangemi. What's up, Joe?
Yo, Coop, what's going on? So yeah, at Sweet Recording, we help brands and businesses to leverage the power of podcasting and YouTube to generate quality content and to expand their audience in a fun and unique way. We can help you to get started. We can help you with everything from planning through to recording and production and even publication. So if you're interested in learning more, just let me know at hello@sweetrecording.com, or you can visit us on the web too at sweetrecording.com. That's SUITE. Take it away, Coop.
Thanks, Joe. We have a really cool panel today. It was funny. I said before we came on, we have someone who used to host a TV show. We have an Eagle Scout, and we have a college wrestler, and that's pretty eclectic and it's pretty cool. And my first guest from Presence Intelligence, Lisa Menyoki.
Good morning.
Did I get it right?
You did.
Okay. And next from PCH Technologies, the Eagle Scout. I graduated high school with 5 Eagle Scouts. I wasn't one of them. It's Tim Gwim. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today, Steve.
You got it. And I'm going to get the name right from Sales Acceleration, John Yankanich.
Perfect. Great job, Steve. Thanks very much.
Okay. So, Lisa, tell us a little about Presence Intelligence.
Well, it's an evolution. I mean, most of my early career was in graphic design and marketing. And I found that when I sat around a lot of conference room tables trying to make the products and services look terrific, if there was dysfunction between the people behind them, it was simply a matter of time before products and services imploded. So I immersed myself pretty deep in the coaching market. And Presence Intelligence is actually a personal development platform that enables individuals learn to communicate better simply by exploring who they are as individuals, what they know and believe about themselves. And it's really great for organizations that are looking to elevate the communication among their teams or to fix a crisis that is destroying their team.
Okay. And now, Tim, tell us about PCH Technology. I actually came to one of your anniversary parties last year, and I had a smoked Manhattan, right? It's a really good drink. But tell us a little about PCH Technologies.
Yeah, PCH Technologies is a managed service provider that we focus handling companies between 20 and 500 computers in construction, manufacturing, and financial industries. I started a business back in 1997. We're at 26 years. You were at the 25th anniversary last year, Steve. And I started the business myself, built it through referrals, and have been successful over the years. And here we are now with a global cybersecurity company they run here in South Jersey.
Cool. And how about you, John? Tell us about your company, Sales Acceleration. It's got the X, acceleration.
It's got the X. You're exactly right, Steve. So most of my career, I was in corporate America. I had big businesses that I ran, but I was typically a sales leader. In 2014, I actually bought into a business and I became a small business owner as well. So I've seen both sides of the fence. And what I do now with Sales Acceleration is I help other small to mid-sized business owners fix problems in sales, anything from sales strategy to developing all the processes needed to the execution. And I help them with experiences I've had in my life, my work life, that I can help them solve those problems. So, and I do that fractionally with Sales Acceleration. So I work a day a week for a client.
Okay. Now, you're all entrepreneurial and you all have started your own businesses, and everyone has a story. So we'll start with you, Tim. How did you end up where you are now? I mean, your background, I know you're an Eagle Scout, but you actually went on your own 26 years ago, which is a very big accomplishment because you're a young guy. But how did you end up where you are?
So a little bit by chance is how I ended up where I'm at. I went to Drexel University for computer science. A few of my friends decided to go to Drexel, apply there. I went there. I went through the co-op program, and I met some of my first clients there. Email was just getting started. The internet was just brand new. It used to be dial-up with AOL, kind of dating myself a little bit, but people needed help with their computers. It was like a whole brand new field. So after hours, I would go out and help some businesses with their technology, setting up, doing some computer programming. At the time, it was Paradox databases, Access databases. So I kind of just did that while I was in college. I had a beeper at the time where I was in class, I would get a beep, I'd walk out and take care of my customers. And when I graduated in '97, it was kind of the height of the internet at that point in time. And there were a lot of job opportunities, but I've made enough connections where I could make enough money by working, with the connections I made. And that's how I started. And then I hired my first person in 1999. I started with $0 myself. My parents gave me a $15,000 loan to get started. I worked out of their house. Fast forward to 2000, I got married and I worked out my house until 2005 or six. Then I purchased a property in Williamstown and worked out of there. And then fast forward to 2008, I did an acquisition of a company right in the heart of the Great Recession. A little bit after that, 2015, I'm in my current location where I really started doing sales and marketing. I come from a technical background, and I was always focused on the technical, delivering the best technical services possible. I really wasn't focusing on sales and marketing. Being an Eagle Scout, I'm a little more humble. I don't like to say, rah, 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 I can do all these things for you. So for me, it's very important to find a balance of how you can educate and market yourself, but not kind of go over the edge. But I came to a point where I thought it was important to tell people that I could provide service for them, especially on the cybersecurity piece, that we could help protect more businesses by getting the word out there versus not.
Okay. Now, how about you, Lisa? You said your background when we started, but how did you end up where you are now? What was your steps?
Well, I built my career around motherhood. I had, when I was younger, what I call the trifecta: art, smarts, and athletics. So I could have gone a number of ways, but I went to art school because I figured that was something that I could do from home. Now, of course, my mother was worried that I'd be some artist, painting on velvet with a tin cup at a curb somewhere. But just when I graduated, the Macintosh got released, which made art a very viable profession and one where you could have an income. So I worked for a very small agency for about 6 months. And I remember working on an annual report, which were big projects way back in the 80s and 90s. And I commented that I thought the content was poorly written. And the owner of the company said, "What are you doing? Are you trying to worry about the details? What do you think? We're trying to win awards?" And I said, "Well, are we trying not to? Because if so, we're doing a great job." And I decided at that point, I simply just couldn't take direction if I didn't agree with it. So I went out on my own at 23, and
Wow.
I never looked back. So I've been independently employed for my entire career.
That's crazy. That's great. How about you, John? Because you said you've worked both sides, and
Yeah.
how'd you end up at where you are?
Yeah, well, I'll take it back to I figured out early what I was best at and what I loved the most. So when I was in college at Penn State, I wrestled there. I wrestled 5, was a good high-level D1 athlete, but the coaches asked me to come back as a graduate assistant. And I knew beforehand, but then realized that I was even better at coaching. And as I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for my career, I was in the MBA program and I took a sales management class and I said, that's it. That's me. That is so similar to coaching. I wanted to coach, but you couldn't make any money in coaching, a non-revenue sport. And so I said, that's what I'll build my career around. So I went into sales, had a little bit of marketing experience as well, and then went into sales leadership. And I didn't look back. And that's, through my whole career, a number of different promotions, a couple different companies, then leveraged that in my own company, as I mentioned, a small business that we turned around and grew, put on a great growth trajectory. And good news, actually, we sold it last year. So I've been through a lot. I've seen big businesses from a sales leadership standpoint. I've seen my own small business. And, what I realized maybe 2, 3 years ago was I have some experiences here that are very valuable for small business owners because I've lived through what they have, and most of them don't know the first thing about sales. And it's such an important aspect of their business as they're trying to grow it. They always want to. And even when they're looking to exit, to have the things in place that don't rely on them as a business owner. So I've found that I'm able to add a lot of value. I like to say I know what I'm best at and what I love the most, which is sales leadership. But now I'm doing it where I have the most impact. I'm helping people every day that need my help.
Okay, it's funny. This is the different panel because all of you have been doing what you've loved for a long time. You knew, like a lot of times people go through different things. So you've all been in the long haul so far. So I'll start with you, Lisa. When you wake up, what motivates you? Because you've been doing it for so long. I mean, it has to get sometimes a little stagnant, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But what motivates you in in the morning when you wake up to start your day, Lisa?
Well, uh, a mortgage is inspirational. However, I went through an incredibly litigious divorce. I went back when my kids were 6, 9, and 10. And my ex-husband sued me for enough alimony to cancel out child support. So I raised 3 kids on my own as a single mom, but I had an army of support around me. Great family. My clients were incredible. And I actually feel almost as if I have a responsibility to share what I learned. I mean, life is a whole lot happier when you're happy, and it's really hard to go through it alone. So that alone makes me wake up every day and say, I will keep on keeping on. If I can give somebody a little bit of relief from demand, I'll do it.
Okay. How about you, John? What gets you motivated in the morning?
Yeah. So I have what I need in life. I'm a very happy person. And so that puts me in a very good spot that I am able to help other people. I get joy myself from helping others. So I know I wake up every day and I'm saying, okay, who am I talking to today? Who am I going to be able to help and try to solve problems for them? So that's what really keeps me going. It's a great way for me to live that I'm thinking about, okay, what can I do for others all the time? And that's what keeps me going.
Okay, how about you, Tim? What motivates you? Because you have a big company, you have a lot of employees, a lot of people are looking towards you, for their livelihood. So, what motivates you in the morning? Because besides that, you want to keep these people happy.
Right. Well, you can't keep everybody happy on the team, but from my perspective, doing something new and actually kind of transforming myself from I was a computer nerd when I basically graduated high school to, a business owner. I'm leading teams here at the office, as well as the Garden State Council, the Boy Scouts. I'm the current board chair there. So really getting those organizations in the position to succeed. And it's really rewarding when you can put people in a position to be succeed, and that makes it your job that much easier, that much more pleasurable to come in and work. So that's really what drives me. It's really great to come into the office and kind of lead the PCH team here for sure. That's my biggest thing.
Okay, so we talked about, motivation. Over the last year, 2023, we were transitioning out of the pandemic. It's been a crazy last few years. But last year, 2023, and we'll start with you, Tim. What's an obstacle that you've overcome that you're proud about? Because we can all overcome obstacles, but it's like I tie my shoes in bunny ears. If I tie my shoes regularly, I'll be like, I overcame an obstacle, but it's nothing I'm proud of. It just says I'm a doofus for tying my shoes in bunny ears. But what's an obstacle that you've overcome, Tim, in the last year?
I think the biggest obstacle that I overcame, inflation, as far in business, basically inflation has been very significant, in our wages, and we've been able internally to use automation and AI to lessen that burden, that cost increase, to our business, which allows us to not have a steep increase to our clients. So kind of going all in, on automation and AI. So far we're continuing that into this year, but that's really the biggest thing that I think that's been a big win for us.
How about you, John?
Yeah, so I would say, I started my practice only just a little bit over 2 years ago. Last year, 2023 was the first full year, and I found a ton of success. So it really proved out. The first year when you're starting up a business, if you don't start with a bunch of handpicked clients that you already have coming into it, which I started with nothing, it took a little while to get it off the ground. But last year was very, very successful. I was busy. There were times I was busy 8 days a week. And that was it kind of proved it out. So now this is my career for the rest of my career, my retirement career, and I'm enjoying it.
How about you, Lisa? What was something that you overcame?
By default, I had some closure during COVID. All three of my parents passed away within 18 months, and I was the local kid. So I had estates to manage and estate attorneys to deal with and thoroughbred horses to find and relocate and sell. I mean, there were so many working parts. And at the same time, keep the lights on. Fortunately, my kids are old enough, they're off the payroll. So that's another closure piece that's pretty awesome. But I think the fact that I'm rounding the bend with the third of my parents who passed away, just finalizing, I think, one more tax return. So, life creeps into business and business can creep into life. And sometimes when there's a lot of both, it can be really overwhelming. So I'd say that the obstacle for me that's disappeared is some of the demand that's simply by the default of life moving on.
Okay, we're going to stay with you, Lisa, for this next question. Then we're going to say, we know the obstacles. So now we're coming into 2024. It's March. It's so crazy. It's March. I mean, the time flies by. What are your goals for 2024? Like, some people are I'm not a long-term goal person. I'm a short-term, that's how I lived. I've lived in different places. I've been in entertainment, and I know a lot of people, in entertainment who their long-term goal may to be, a movie star, but they just want to get a series. They just want to get that 25,000 an episode thing. They're fine with that. So everyone has different kinds of goals. Now, what is one of your goals for 2024, Lisa?
My biggest goal is to expand the reach of Presence Intelligence. It's been introduced into the marketplace in a quiet way. I wanted to make certain that the market wanted it, and it does, and to find a place for it in a wider reach. That means businesses and it's really good for individuals, but it's really great for organizations.
Okay. How about you, Tim? Because you seem like you're always growing. You're always taking trips. Your company's always doing fun things. But so what is your goal though for 2024?
Yes. So our goal is those trips are mixed with a little bit of business and pleasures. A lot of different things you see on LinkedIn there. But my biggest thing is we're creating a division within PCH Technologies, an AI and automation division where we're actually automating and using AI internally. But we're going to deliver AI as a service to our clients to drive adoption in businesses that can use it and create additional value for our business. That's my biggest goal professionally, looking in 2024.
How about you, John? Because you said you had a great last year. So, and it's something that, and you know what you're going to do, but it must be hard to plan a goal when you kicked ass the year before. So what is your goal for 2024?
Well, I do some of the long-term planning as well. So I have a vision of where I want to go. So for 2024, for my business, that I want to still have a similar level of success, maybe even a little bit more, but I want to be able to share that with others that are other advisors within Sales Acceleration so that I can give them. Some of them weren't as fortunate or haven't been as fortunate getting their business off the ground. So I want to help them be successful. So that's one aspect. But the other thing, from a personal standpoint, there are 2 books that I want to write, and I want to complete one of them this year. One is about some things that I learned in my business, how you generate accountability in a business and through people. And I had a model that I worked in my own business, and I want to write a book about that, kind of in a fable type of format. And the other one is on a more personal level for my children. So I want to complete one of those. I haven't decided which one I'm going to tackle. One means more to me, obviously my children, but I may get to the business one first, but I want to complete one of those this year. So there's a goal.
I'm going to keep on you because I'm writing a book. I wrote a cookbook years ago called Stop the Salt. I got congestive heart failure 12 years ago. When I came out of the hospital, I said, I'm going to write this book. And I might make like $4 every month. from Amazon. I get a little, but I'm like, hey, I wrote a book, but there's a book I want to write about networking. So I'm going to keep on your ass, and then we'll get these books done together. So, you know,
Definitely.
and if any of the other
Definitely.
guys want to write a book, I'm going to keep on your ass too, because I have the book all in my head. I just haven't sat down and written it. And I go to my computer and I'm like, oh, I'll do this. And I go, oh, you know what? Oh, wait, all of these having a sale. I think I'll go there. So it's always, I get so distracted. So, you know, Tim, we're going to talk to you because you were an Eagle Scout. And, you know, I got to know, who is someone, because you probably are a mentor to a lot of people, but who is someone who has meant a lot to you in your professional life? What is someone who's helped develop you to the person you are now?
So I would say, first off, this scouting program gave me a great foundation for leadership skills and put me in a good position. But probably one of the people that has really mentored me a lot, I used to also deliver newspapers, the Philadelphia Inquirer, when I was about 12 years old. And I had a paper route in the local neighborhood. And one of the houses there, 121 Dorado Avenue, Nick Tatey, he had a DJ business and he also had a Yellow Page business. It was my very, very first customer. He kind of taught me about business. He kind of told me how to charge. He spent a lot of time with me to really put me in a good position. I wrote a computer program to track all his DJ jobs. He was handwriting all his checks. I set him up with QuickBooks. So I was helping him from a technology perspective, but he was giving me the business acumen. I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know anything about business at all. Profit and loss statements, and he kind of gave me a lot of good information. That's one of my very first mentors when I was very young that put me in a spot of success for the future.
Okay. How about you, Lisa?
Oh, there's no question. I told you I went to art school, and I decided to go to University of Hartford because I figured if the art program wasn't stimulating enough, I still could go the academic route. And after the first year, I felt like my brain was turning to pudding. So I went to the head of the English department and I said, find me a teacher who's going to make my brain sweat. So there was a teacher his name was George Michael Ivica, and he taught comedy and literature, which I did not care about. I just wanted to work. And he walked into class, and I remember he looked like Shakespeare. He spilled coffee down the side of his desk, and he said, well, look at that. He said, comedy is the elicitation of organic euphoria through exuberance of word and deed. And I thought, what have I done? You know, I wanted to work, not just crumble. But anyway, he said, after my first test, he said, see me in my office. I will fix all your writing errors in 5 minutes or less. And I thought, well, either there aren't that many or you're really fast. But the time he spent with me, I think, refined my ability to write to such the degree that it has been thematic throughout my entire career. And I attribute that skill to that small amount of time he spent in that office and then the ongoing curriculum studying with him when I was, way back when in college.
How about you, John?
Yeah, sure, Steve. So I would start with my wrestling coaches, both in high school and in college. They definitely instilled the type of discipline, the growth mindset, hard work, work ethic type of thing that has benefited me throughout my career. But I will say then a gentleman by the name of Chuck Rippon, my first job, he was my sales manager that hired me into sales. And I knew this is where I wanted to go. I had an interest there, but I had maybe some natural talent, but he really helped put a lot of the pieces together, make me connect the dots for what excellence in sales looks like and sales leadership, as he was my leader. So he offered up his time, was very generous with that, and gave me a lot. And I've had a lifelong then relationship with Chuck. It's been great. And it's interesting. This is a leap year, obviously, and yesterday was the 29th of February. His birthday is a day before mine. So I'll give you a little secret then. His birthday is February 28th. So mine is actually today. So I want to say thank you. I just got a text from Chuck saying happy birthday.
That's so cool. I love when people remember names. Like for me, it was a guy, one of the first people who helped. It was a guy named Dr. Dwyer. I went to Cherry Hill East, and he wore a turtleneck, and he had like the gray hair and the glasses. He looked like a beatnik, like something you see in like Gilligan's Island when they had the band of mosquitoes. And I wrote a paper, and it was a how-to, and I wrote how to give a wedgie. Because I got a few when I was younger. A few guys picked them. But he embraced that. And he goes, write this. You know, he said, this is funny. And it's so funny, like all of you remember, and it's something that for them, it's just second nature. But for us, it means so much. And they probably do it to a lot of people, and they don't even think how great they are. But, you know, so people, if you have someone who's mentored you, reach out to them and say thank you, because all these three successful people remember them. And talking about successful, what is success to you? John, what is success to you at this point in your life?
At this point in my life, I think if people are able to find a pure joy, then you found success. And you find joy, I believe, through people, the relationships you have. So, you know, when I'm working, for instance, with a client, I want to help them be successful. They have certain goals that they want to achieve, and together we work to be able to find that joy. And when I know that I'm helping someone and they're moving forward, they're moving towards what they want to get, that's success to me. So it could be a number, it could be you know, something financial, but overall, it's really seeing the progress, knowing you're moving in the right direction at a pace that is reasonable, is what success is. So it's not necessarily, to me, just we grew 25% this year or something like that if I'm dealing with a client. On the personal side, as I said before, it's about relationships and the deepening of the relationships you have, not the number, the deepening of them. And when I see that, and I have, you know, I'm communicating with people and I see the level of relationships, then I know I'm finding success.
How about you, Lisa? What's success to you?
Well, if there's a person or a colleague or a leisure endeavor or a professional one, if it makes my cheeks pink and my heart beat fast, then I'm good. But that has to be there. The older I get, the more boundaries I'm willing to draw to anybody that doesn't do that. I mean, life is short. I mean, I've lost some people who mattered to me in the last few years, so I figure every day better be great. And so I'm choosy, far more choosy than I ever used to be when I was younger, about what brings me happiness. And then I return it in kind.
Okay. How about you, Tim? What's success for you?
I think from my perspective, it's, you know, having a strong faith, treating everybody with kindness, and making sure you're, you know, creating an impact in kind of everything that you do, having a very, you know, a very good family personally, and also extended family when you look at everybody you're kind of dealing with. And you kind of I look for moments of pure joy in life, and I would say they come few and far between, but I truly believe in them. Like the first time my mom held my daughter, when I told my dad about that. So there's definitely moments of pure joy in life, and it's completely um, absent of anything else except for joy, and you can't really describe it until you actually see it. So, and I love this, you know, to see any moments I can do, not to that level, but I also try to, you know, to make sure those things happen as much as possible for as many people as possible.
Okay, it's funny, Lisa, you mentioned happiness. I'm going to get to that because success, we said what success is. I'm going to say what happiness is, because I think they're two different things. Like I'll sit there and I'll be in another room and I'll hear my wife laughing at a TV show, and that makes me happy. That's happiness. I go, you know what? She's enjoying herself. You know, I'm sitting there, or I can be out having a beer with a friend and we'll just be bullshitting about music. And to me, that's happiness. And I think there's a difference. You know, you can be success and happy. A lot of people try to lump them together. I don't think that they work. I mean, if you're completely unsuccessful, it's probably hard to be happy, because, you know, if you're living in a box, but that might make you happy. So it doesn't thing. But so, Tim, what is happiness for you? Because you said joy, but I think joy and happiness are two different things. What is for you? What is your definition of happiness?
I'll say about happiness too. If I see that my wife is happy, my daughter's happy, people around me are happy, that makes, you know, that makes me happy. I get some happiness too from some of the hobbies that I really do. And I've really later in life embraced some things that I really like to do. I like to, to like motorsports. I like to travel extensively. I could do things I've never done before. And for me, that brings me happiness. Doing unique and novel things. When you talk about the travel, so those are things that bring me happiness. But usually seeing others happy is really what makes me happy.
Okay. How about you, John?
I would say the happiness of the loved ones that I have around me as well. That's what makes it for me. I mentioned there's not a lot of need that I have. So if you're in a situation that you do not have, um, you know, the important things in life that you need to have, you have enough food, you have a shelter, you have stuff like that. I don't need other things. I don't need other toys or stuff like that. So what I focus on for happiness is really, as I said before, developing the relationships that I have with people. And when the people that I love and care about are finding joy, finding happiness, that's what makes me happy. So there's not a lot that I don't need a new toy or something like that makes me happy. It's not I have what I need, and I think it's a great way to live, that if you don't have a lot of needs, you need to go get something else. You can really focus on the relationships that you have. And that's how I define happiness.
How about you, Lisa? What's happiness to you?
I'm right there with you guys. Listen, if my kids are happy, I'm happy. I have 3, and one of them, Tim, went to Drexel and did that co-op program, which is an excellent educational experience, because it prepared him for a career runway that was great. But for me, as long as my kids are happy, I'm good. Everything else is fine.
See, it's so funny as you get older, it gets simplistic. When you're a kid, you're like crazy, you're going crazy. And like when I got out of college, I needed a nice car and I got a Fiero. I don't know if you people remember Fiero. and my aunt would tell women she'd work with, oh, my nephew Steven has a Ferrari. So these women were all interested in me. I'm like, no, it's a Fiero, Aunt Ruth. It's not a Ferrari. But for me, as I get older now, I got a new car 2 years ago. I got a little 4-door Kia. I'm like, I don't need a good car. I mean, I needed something dependable. A car doesn't make me happy. I know some people who, like Kim, you probably love cars because you love motorsports.
I do enjoy it. Yeah, I really enjoy that. So it's fun. It's something.
Yeah, it's fun, and for you, but it's not like a key to happiness. Some people,
no,
it's not a key.
Right. It's not a key of happiness. It's something fun to do that I enjoy with other people that have that same that same vision. So I don't have to have that. And again, wherever I'm at, I don't need anything. I'm very, very blessed in everything that I have here in my entire life. Have so many material things that I thought in my life I would never ever have from where I started. So yeah, it's something where those are items that I kind of enjoy,
Yeah, and so that's the thing. So let's talk about networking. We all have network. It's funny. Life has changed. You used to have to cold call. When I got out of college, I sold fax machines. You had to cold call. I had to go to Philly and cold call. You had to cold call. There's no internet. It was bullshit. When you look back at it, I'm like, it sucked. But now we like referrals and networking. So, Lisa, what makes you a good networker?
I like people. You know what? I really care. I don't care if I'm talking to somebody in the parking lot of a grocery store or whomever. My kids ask me, why did the owner of the 7-Eleven give you a Christmas present? And I said, because I help her dad make coffee every morning and he has limited English. So I really care about people. It makes all the difference in the world.
Okay. How about you, Tim? What makes you a good networker?
I would say I look just to kind of make a relationship with the person, try to find something in common. Eagle Scouts, part of Chamber of Commerce's, are they in motorsports? So I try to build a relationship first with the person and just try to connect from a human to human perspective. And that's what I've kind of learned over the past few years. I wasn't very good when I started, but it's I'm decent at it now, trying to build a relationship with people. I try to build long-term relationships with people, not just a short-term relationship.
How about you, John?
Yeah, I would say, and I didn't start heavily networking until I started my practice a little over 2 years ago. So there was a lot I had to learn, but I think the biggest single thing is you become a good networker if you are on the lookout for someone else. So when I'm talking to someone, I'm really inquisitive and trying to understand how I can help them. And the people that I have seen that I respect as networkers are the ones that are on the lookout and constantly saying, geez, I think I can connect you with this person. I think I can help you if we do this or something like that. You're trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes. And so I try to emulate that as I was networking, say, that's a better way to be. And you do see a mix of folks out there. There are some that really are not constantly looking for trying to pay it forward. And I think that's the best networker, the one that is trying to pay it forward, trying to help the other person as much as they can.
Okay. Now I want to say I'm going to ask you what you don't like about networking, like something, and I want to hear a networking nightmare. Like I don't like when I go to an event and if I'm talking to someone or someone says, "Hey, Steve," and I walk over and there's two people, if someone doesn't introduce me, I'm an over introducer. I mean, I would be at bars in LA and I'd get to my friend Jim. I'm like, "Jim, do you know, such and such?" He's like, "Yeah, I've met him like 5 times." I'm like, "All right, well, I always was brought up to introduce people because there's nothing more awkward when you go to an event. Someone says, "Hey, Steve, come here," and they start talking to you, and you're with 4 people, and you don't get introduced to them, and you just look like the idiot sitting outside looking in. So that's something that I don't like. And a networking nightmare I had, or a bad experience, was when I first moved back from LA. When I first started working for Coit, my friend's company. I went to an event, and there was one of the competition. I think she was with ServPro. We got introduced, and she just was like, "Ugh," and walked away. And I was so pissed off. And I was like, there's so much business out there that you shouldn't get disgruntled at competition. But Lisa, what's something you don't like about networking? And what's a weird experience you've had at a networking event?
The people who are working the room drive me crazy. The ones that are there to collect handshakes and business cards, I will avoid them at all costs because, in my experience, most business cards end up in a drawer somewhere, and most people don't take much initiative to do anything afterwards. Because I like people so much, I usually look for the wallflowers, the ones who are a little bit timid, and I find them because I would rather talk with 1 or 2 people at an event than come home with 30 business cards and have had 30-second conversations. So I don't know that they're horrible experiences, but they're ones that I avoid. You know the ones, you can see them migrating through the crowd and shaking a quick hand and getting a card and moving on to the next one.
Do you ever have something weird happen to you at an event that just irritated you?
Well, I wouldn't say that it irritated me, but it embarrassed me. I forgot to turn off my phone. And in some groups where it comes to you for your 30-second, I have ringtones for my kids and some special people. And this one was for a colleague who always seemed to have chickens walking across. Her office was in a barn, and there was always a chicken running across her desk. And her ringtone was a rooster crowing. And when it came time for me to introduce myself, the rooster crowed, and it was my phone going off. And I was so horrified that this is the first time I'm meeting people. My phone is still on, which is something that I say never do. And it was a cock-a-doodle-doo. So it was horrible.
At least it wasn't like hardcore rap. Everybody like, whoa, Lisa.
Oh, no.
She's got NWA going. Lisa's got NWA. What's going on there?
Oh, it's called the Chicken Song. And it was just like, of all the times, now.
Okay. How about you, Tim? Say something you don't like about networking and an odd thing that's happening to you at a networking event.
I've been racking my brain this whole time for something odd that's happening. So I may come up short there, but over time, it could be a long day. And then you're going to a networking event. So some people think it's, oh, great, you're hanging out, having a good time, but it can be a long thing. When I go to networking events, I'm looking to it's quality over quantity of people that you're going to meet and building relationships with. So it can be a lot because you have to meet new people, you have to be on, and you have to be interested in what people have to say. So it's definitely it's work to network, successfully sometimes. I can't think of anything really odd out there. It's just, I would say sometimes, let's say you're in a real in-depth conversation, and then somebody's kind of staring at you, trying to kind of break in to the conversation. It's one thing if you're like kind of 3 people and then you can kind of scoot yourself into the conversation. But you see two people that are one-on-one in an in-depth conversation, and a person like staring at you, watching you, and it's like, I see you there, but I'm with this person. That's the one thing that I would say that, and I've had people stand there for like 10 minutes almost, like kind of staring at me. And I said, I know you're there. Just give me a minute. I will get to you. So that's my only odd thing I could kind of say about networking,
Okay. How about you, John?
Yeah, I started my business in heavily networking because I had to a little over 2 years ago. What I didn't like about it was I knew I had to do it is to go through a lot of people to meet them because like both Lisa and Tim said, I think quality over quantity, that's super important, and the depth of relationship that you meet. But you've got to meet a lot of people to find the ones that you really want to network with. And that was not awkward. You got to just turn yourself on. I had no problem doing that, but I didn't generally like it. And so the first year of my networking, I went and did everything everywhere. And there was a lot of times if I had to say, man, it wasn't as valuable and I really didn't like it. I'm liking a lot now more because I am choosing to spend the time with the people that I want to. I don't really have an odd story other than I know I was at a networking event at one time. It was the second one of this I went again, and I made the realization that if I wanted to stay with that group, it was almost like I had to create a new set of friends. Like these are going to now become my best friends. And I realized that's not what I wanted in life. And so I didn't go to that event anymore. So it was, some trial and error and realization, but I really do think it's important to focus on quality over quantity.
I got a quick question. I'll just shake your head yes or no. Do you all have regular sized business cards?
Yes.
They open up?
No.
Okay, good. Because you said I hate people who give you that business card that opens up because you always have to put it on the top of your business cards because if you put it in the middle, it opens up and all the other ones slide off. And I never understood why you would do that, or why would you have a business card that's like a triangle or like a manatee, like something weird. Like for me, I'm just like, people don't like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm old fashioned, but I just want a damn business card. Like I watch American Psycho when they're all looking at the business cards in that movie. It's great, but they're all regular sized. So I just wanted to make sure before.
You know what I do with that, Steve? I take that business card and immediately I take it. If it's someone that I'm going to stay connected with, I put it into my CRM. And then you don't need the card. You have it's stored already. So,
okay.
So that's it. So you don't need so even the pop-up. Okay.
It's so annoying. So we're all on LinkedIn, and Tim, you do a great job on LinkedIn. You have the Tuesdays with Tim and stuff like that. Yep. And this is a point where I always bitch on the show. I always bitch. My wife's like, I'm a curmudgeon. I'm like the Cherry Hill version of Larry David. She says without all the money. LinkedIn, and I love it. And I messaged all of you on LinkedIn to have you on the show because we don't get emails, and sometimes people don't get emails. And for as much as I love LinkedIn, a lot of stuff bothers me. And the thing that bothers me is someone reached out to me and they asked a question. They wanted to do like a one-on-one, but then it was a group thing. And I looked at their site and it said, all you rock star entrepreneurs. Now, I have a big problem with that. I know there was a commercial about it. If you're a rock star entrepreneur, well, first of all, you're not. Like a rock star is an earned position. Like, I partied with rock stars. I was at Taylor Hawkins' 30th birthday party. He had a piñata that looked like him. And when he batted it open, airplane bottles of booze came out. That's a rock star. And if you're a rock star entrepreneur, you better be on the Shark Tank because rock star means you're the top of your game. Mm-hmm. So everyone's just like, oh, yeah, I'm a rock. It's like, no, rock stars are like drinking champagne with models. You're at a buffet at a Chamber of Commerce lunch. It's not the same thing. So I just saw that something that pisses me off about LinkedIn, the titles that people use. Like everyone's a keynote speaker. Everyone's this and everyone's that. So what's something that pisses you off about LinkedIn? Because there's got to be something. Tim, we'll start with you because you have a very good LinkedIn page. You make good time of it. You have your tech things. And when Devin worked for you, she had, those things. And then now Alexis, you have a good presence. But what's something that irritates you?
My biggest thing is I get so many DMs on LinkedIn, AI based, and people trying to solicit business to me, and they won't stop. almost a point I don't have the time to block them. I had one person that was writing poems to me. Why don't you respond to it? It was creative. I remembered it, but it was just like, I just think the how much I get reached out to on LinkedIn, it's almost excessive. The amount of, it's almost just like your spam mailbox of how much I get on LinkedIn. And we did connect up on LinkedIn because I do use that for people that I know. It's a great tool, but it's that part of marketing, from my perspective, it's just overbearing sometimes.
Okay. How about you, John?
It's absolutely the soliciting that gets done through. So it's one thing if you're going to say, hey, I want to connect with you and build a relationship. Maybe we can do something together.
Right.
But people that are either offering franchises and I have no interest in that, or they're saying we've got a perfect job for you, or I can offer you lead gen or whatever else they're soliciting. And it just takes my time up to say block, and it's just a frustrating thing. So I don't appreciate that.
Just back on John's point too. I'm okay with people in industry reaching out. We have connections in common. I've made relationships.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, I see you're doing a lot in cybersecurity. We're in the same thing. We know some people in common. I'll accept them all day long because we have something in common. There's value, but it's just the direct solicitations, cold solicitations for business. That's what I would say.
How about you, Lisa?
I can't stand them either. I love it. I've read your profile and you can just tell it's automated, that it's like Mad Libs, fill in the gap. And I can get you to 6 figures in 30 days. First of all, how do you know that I'm not there? And secondly, it's clear from the rest of your message, you never read my profile. So I would answer back, are you a bot or a person? And then 2 days later would come the next automated response. So I liked LinkedIn when that wasn't allowed. People reached out to each other personally, and that automation stuff was out of the loop. So I do miss the olden days of LinkedIn when it was more pure without so much solicitation.
Okay. Now I'm going to start with John with this question because I know he'll have a good answer because I know you read a lot of books. I'm not a big business book person, but I always like to hear what I know. I know you're a business book guy just from talking to you. Yeah. And it fascinates me because some people love business books. And I always like to ask people this because people watch a show and then they get a suggestion. So what is a book that's made a difference for you in the business world? Now, if any of you don't read business books, like I don't, I can say, oh, well, Motley Crue, The Dirt. I love that. I'll move on. But what is a business book that you liked, or a personal book that has had an impact on you? And it could be ages ago or just recently.
So I keep it here. I do network with a lot of EOS implementers. And I will tell you, I use this book, Traction, Gino Wickman, I used it in my own business. So back in 2014, I said I bought into a business, and we used this to kind of run that, and it helped us get control of our business. At the time, I was actually the implementer, which meant I had a function in the business and leading sales and marketing, and ultimately the CEO role. But then I also was implementing, and it was very difficult. I wish I would have known there were EOS implementers at the time, but that's one that made a difference in our business, and there was a good outcome from it. So that's one. There are plenty of them, though. I'm trying to think of one. I don't have it. I gave it to a friend of mine. It was a more personal book, and it was about how you build relationships. And I'll get it to you separately, Steve, but I can't think of the name of it right now, and I don't have it here. But it was a really valuable book. It was one I read on a flight, and it was absolutely outstanding. So I'll get you that book later.
Okay. How about you, Lisa?
Oh, no question. It's called The Go-Giver by John David Mann is one of the co-authors, and Bob Berg. It's about half-inch thick, and just based on the conversations we've had today, I think every one of us would enjoy reading it. In fact, I'm working with John David Mann, who has 30 bestsellers, and not Amazon bestsellers, but actually New York Times bestsellers. And I'm actually in the process of writing one alongside with him. He's mentoring me.
That's awesome. It's
an excellent book.
I've heard it a lot. I've heard, yeah. And Iorio is a big fan of that book. Your friend Mark Iorio.
Because I gave it to him. And Mark Iorio is my co-host on Morning Coffee. And we actually interviewed both Bob Berg and John David Mann and John's wife. They were two of our guests. Wonderful, very different individuals. But the book is a parable about business and the importance of developing relationships and giving back and finding your ideal role. It's just so good. And it's a quick read.
How about you, Tim?
I also, Attraction is definitely one of the books. We run EOS here at PCH. That's a great book. A book that I started, this goes back a ways, Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is a great book, a great framework for life and for business that made a big impact. And I'm going to plug one more book that I'm reading now, Teams of Teams from General McChrystal. 2004, he went into Iraq with Al-Qaeda, and it was traditional military tactics were not working. And he had to build small teams of teams that were very independent and could make decisions on their own to kind of combat that. And that's the book I'm reading right now, which I'm very interested in because I'm using that strategy here in business on here at PCH and also within the Garden State Council.
Okay, that's great. See, that's good. So here's our final question. I always ask this, and I always close my show with this. And you know, let's say you meet someone. You know, they could be just getting out of college. They could be getting out of high school. They could be out of trade school. They could be in a difference, changing careers. And as my mom would say, they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Okay, you meet someone. What is advice that you would give them to make sure that they do a good job when they get out there and to be happy in their path through business? Because it's scary. You all have been on the same path for a long time, so you're set that way. But a lot of people don't. You know, a lot of people don't have it. But Lisa, what's some advice you would give someone who came to you basically like you were a mentor? What advice would you give them?
Well, that's actually what I do. Nobody knows what it's like to be you better than you. Nobody. So I think you need to shut out the noise of other people, even if they were well-intended. That includes parents, spouses, teachers, mentors, whomever, and find that thing that my metric is, does it make my cheeks pink and give me goosebumps? When you find it, then you go for it. Sometimes that comes with a loss. Sometimes that means you need to, leave circles in which you're familiar or to cut out people who've been part of your landscape thus far. But find that thing that really excites you and move forward. And by default, doors will open.
Okay. How about you, Tim?
I would say the number one thing is when you make a commitment, you keep it no matter what the circumstance. And if you have to break for any reason, go back and let that person know as soon as possible. Keeping your word and your credibility are as critical when you're growing your business. Your boss is going to depend on you. Your family's depending on you. So you need to keep your commitments no matter what.
Okay. And how about you, John?
I think there's a couple things that I would say. So one of them, certainly, like Lisa mentioned, you've got to find what you love. But sometimes that doesn't come to you right away. Okay. So there's a couple things I think you need to do. One is whatever you're doing, anything worthwhile is worth investing yourself into fully. So do it fully, work hard, something you'll be proud of. But what you've got to do is make sure you take time to step out of it and see the surroundings and see where you are. Because if you don't do that, sometimes you go down a path and you realize you're doing it, you're working hard, and you're not working where you should be. So there's always time that you got to take time, reflect, and see where you are. And that can help you get to the point where you find what you love. But ultimately, you should be doing what you love, and that'll help you find the happiness at the end of the day.
All right. Well, this has been great. Now, Lisa, how can people get in touch with you?
Oh, easy. Lisa, well, my last name is Manioki, but Lisa at lisamanioki.com.
And that's MANYOKY.
Correct.
All right. Tim, how can I get in touch with you?
You could find me on LinkedIn, Timothy Guim, GUIM, PCH Technologies.
John?
And that's probably the easiest way. I have my email and phone number posted on my LinkedIn profile. Think Yank, John Yankanich. You can see the spelling. It looks more difficult than it is. but you can find me on LinkedIn as well.
So people reach out to them if you need any of their services. You can reach out to me, thecooptank@yahoo.com. If you want to sponsor the show, hit me up. You know, the people who watch the show and the people who are on the show are shakers and movers. So if you want to get your name out there and get your brand out there, this is such a great place to do it. Also, go to my other website, coopertalk.net. You can find 996 celebrity interviews, everyone from Steven Van Zandt to David Duchovny to Ed Asner. I'm trying to book 1,000. I just got turned down by Moby's people. I thought I had him. The PR people had him, but his management said no. And also go to YouTube and check out this show. Look up The Coop Tank, rate it, do all that stuff. You know, you like it and all that great stuff. Also, if you're going to have a podcast or you're looking for podcast services or anything great, you have to reach out to Joe Ganjami and Rich DeSisto from Sweet Recording. You can hook them up at suite recording.com or email them at hello@sweetrecording.com. Anyway, thank you for you people for being my panel today. I'm Steve Cooper, and I'll talk to you all next time.